passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Hay deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Championship. You're watching here, of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. My name is Sweeney, Dean Biggles, alongside me in the commentary booth, as always, and we go back to where it all began those many months ago when we came to the Red Bull Ring for the very first time in Formula 3 machinery. And what a long journey it's been since then. We're now towards the back end of our third season, and we've been in two different cars, the Formula 3 and now, of course, the Super Formula. So it's been a long road and, well, of course, that nostalgia that returns us here to a magnificent circuit in the Styrian Mountains. It should be a ton of fun with some very tight championships in the mix as well. Well, particularly in the intermediate with also Carson Keane potentially able to wrap things up in the advanced as well, having a very firm grip on the championship. There you can see, of course, on 169 compared to Ridgeway's 144. There is a potential mathematically for him to win it, Dean.
There is, absolutely, of course. So it's definitely going to come down to this short track. Overtaking opportunities are there. Whether or not you get cars starting to lap other cars. 13 drivers on the grid currently at the moment, so it's definitely a good show out there for the penultimate round. I don't know, Carson Keane's looking strong, but then again, mistakes can be made around here in the Sound of Music, of course, in the Austrian Alps there, where we all know that Beethoven, Mozart, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even Toto Wolff comes from these necks of the woods. And look at that big bull statue that weighs a ton, mind you, too. I can't remember how many tons it weighs, but it weighs quite a bit.
Probably, yeah, I can imagine that it does. And quite a big staple landmark, of course, of this amazing circuit. Ups, downs, two lefts, and then a lot of rights as well. The vast majority of it is taken on the by obviously turning right. Of course, you can also see the drivers now running their way through practice. It's very much an undulating circuit as well. A lot of roller coasters here. And plenty of overtaking opportunities as well, and plenty of opportunities for you to do that. It's like we saw with James Cunningham. That run out of turn 3 is going to be one to watch. Should be, for sure, a ton of fun here. But let's talk about the intermediate championship for a second, Biggles, because we've got Petter Vedding and Seth MacFarlane, who's been down each other's throats for pretty much the vast majority of this season, only separated by 1 point. Anthony Zyke, only 2 points behind the championship leader. Andrew Cody on 92, only 9 points behind, and Anthony Wilburn on 91, only 10 points behind the championship leader. So we've got the entirety of the top 5 in the intermediates covered by just 10 points.
That is absolutely impressive, yes. So it's definitely going to come down to the wire with these drivers. You can't afford to make any mistakes this deep into the season now. You've just got to deliver results. Now, I wouldn't be too greedy necessarily about having to get the absolute highest position you can get. If you're deep into this race and you realize, okay, this is it, you know, I mean, like, I don't think I can get way out there. I don't want to push that hard, because if I bin it right now or I make a mistake, that's it, you know. Those championship hopes are done and dusted. So gotta play it easy and safe, but you also gotta, you know, gotta go for a gap car, things like that. So we'll see out there. And of course, yeah, of late too, Daniel's been performing quite well there, the 64 machine, because of course he's got his fan club out there, and we're waiting for his fan club. Where's Daniel's family of late? And I'm quite surprised. This is once again only practice, Zach, so these times aren't going to be 100% reflective, apart from Carson Keane just sitting on blistering quick practice time. I don't know. Anybody else do you think could bring it to Carson Keane, at least in the top of the timesheets? And then how's it going to pan out, as you said, for the intermediate challenge?
Yeah, well, the thing with Carson Keane is that he's won every race, apart from the one where he didn't win. He came third instead, but that round gets dropped. So every round that counts for Carson Keane is a race win, essentially, which is astonishing. It is absolutely crazy how good of a season that man has had. And, of course, he's off the back of being a runner-up in the Formula 3 machines, came in, you know, tantalizingly close on a couple of occasions, and now having this big adjustment into the Super Formula. and he's been the one to tame the beast. He's been the one to make that step up just that little bit better, and now has the opportunity, of course, to have one hand effectively on the trophy. The gap as it stands is 25 points to Robert Ridgway, which means he has to outscore Ridgway by 9 points. Because if he gets 9 points, the best that Ridgway can do is match, and then Keane would win on comeback, because he, of course, he's got a substantially more amount of wins than Carson Keane has. Dan Whitfield is on 129, that's 40 points behind, that's not enough, so the battle does go down to the top 2 in the Advanced Championship. So basically Keane just needs to hope that he gets another win, which shouldn't be too difficult, and then Robert Ridgway scores a little bit less than 9 points behind him, so 34 for a win, and then 9 points behind that would be 25 points, which is for a 4th place. So if Keane wins and Ridgway gets 4th, then we will crown ourselves a new champion.
There, you got to do those math at the moment, or maths, would you like to say? So obviously it's going to come down to this qualifying performance. Robert needs to put it in there. Anthony is at the moment Zach down here, and he didn't even get that many laps in during the practice session. So hopefully you get as many laps in the qualifying session. It's a low in qualifying, so you don't have to worry about traffic. And of course, as we always do, Zach, we go on board with the driver, don't we, for a hot lap. Now, you can choose at the moment. We've got Andy out there, Christian, Carson, Peter, Mike, James has come back out, Anthony, Seth, and Samuel. So, what do you reckon? Who would you like a hot lap?
Let's have a... Honestly, I'd say Keane is probably the most reliable. No offense, everyone else.
All right, there you go.
But here he is. Obviously, he's got a while to go until he actually starts his lap, because he's weaving around at the moment. He's getting some tyre temp in. But the good thing about this championship is that they've all got their own private quali, which means that no one's going to benefit from getting a sneaky turn.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I mean, and at least with the amount of cars that we have on the track, it's not too bad. But you get some of those leagues that we do put on here in the JP Broadcasting Network, where I know I do one of them. It's 46 or so, 50-something cars at some point. So that it becomes a nightmare if you had to qualify, obviously, with cars around. It's certainly interesting finding a gap in the track. Here we go. Zachary, take us on board. Carson Keane around Red Bull Ring.
On the run to the line, of course, it's an uphill climb towards turn of 1. You're spotting for just after the 100-metre board in 6th gear, of course, going in. You're going down to 3rd, hitting a nice apex, being careful of the sausage curb on the outside. It is a very crucial corner, turn number 1, because it precedes this very long uphill run through technically what is turn 2 into the prime overtaking opportunity on the circuit at turn 3. Use all of the track available, braking just at the 100-metre board. A little bit too deep from Carson Keane, but the thing is that you can get away with it if you just carry enough exit speed, being careful to build up the throttle as you build up your speed now towards this downhill descent in towards 4. Once again, looking for just about the 100-metre board, taking a nice late-ish apex as the track widens on the exit. You're trying to narrow this run towards turns 5 and 6. Now into, of course, turn number 6, this left-hander, chucking it through 4th gear, medium speed corner, very nice infield section, and then this mightily quick left-hand flick, and then into, of course, turn number 8, where you have to then just ride the curb, be careful not to get an off-track excursion. Back up to 6th gear towards the penultimate corner. Here you can see just dab on the brakes, a downshift to 5th gear, carry all the speed in the world, use all of the track as well, use the camber of turn number 10, ride the exit of the circuit as best you can. Again, be careful not to extend the track limits, and do what Carson Keane does and go to the top of the timesheets by 7/10 of a second.
And that was with mistakes too that you mentioned. We saw that. I mean, we know for a fact because we've seen many cars go around this classic track, and so that 7/10 quicker than everybody else on the field, and that's with the mistakes from Carson. So there's much more time to find, no doubt. I think he's going to be low 12s for sure if he can hook up the perfect lap. Remember, it is still that, even making a little bit of exit mistake out of turn 3, because you can get on the loud pedal. Maybe you're climbing up the hill too, aren't you? So you drop so much speed there, and then you want to hit that loud pedal, because it's a short run, as you can see, down into turn 4. And then you've got a little kink, and then your series of the only 2 lefts. Remember, only 2 lefts. So I think also, remember that kink from turn 1 to turn 3, that's just a little kink. I think they add that. This one I wanted to pick your brain about. Is it because they require a minimum of 10 corners for a FIA super license to track, or whatever it's called? I don't know. That's what I was curious about.
No.
No? I don't?
think so. The grades come down to wait, hang on. I think it has to be less than 7 kilometers long, with the exception made for Spa because it's only like 4 meters or such. And obviously the conditions around the track have to meet FIA Grade 1 approval. I've never seen anything ever about corner numbers.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to consult my best friend called Google and allow them to enlighten us.
Cunningham, 93 thousandths of a second. I thought he was putting in a fantastic lap there. He took the first sector and the third sector away from Carson Keane, who even improved on his time. So I'm going to see the battle between the US Air Force pilot here of James and the Canadian wonder of Carson Keane. It's going to be crucial, of course, with the rest of these drivers, because you need to see some of these drivers. Daniel's not even out on track at the moment there, so perhaps anybody from the Daniel family can let us know. Hopefully Daniel does not have any technical issues like he has had in the past. Peter at the moment here for our Norwegian driver. Well, he's currently in P6, getting some times there. Robert Ridgway, of course, as you said, has crucial for him. He needs to get on this front row. He cannot afford Carson Keane to get all the way up the road there and gone. Look at that. He's fighting with the machine too for the Atomic Racing. As Andy goes the quickest there for the Dutch Sim Racing team.
By 1/1000th of a second as well, a sensationally quick lap time from the Flying Dutchman. But we still have half the session left to go. These are only provisional results as of yet, but promising ones at that, especially when the slipstream is going to be very, very prevalent over the course of 45 minutes of racing action here today. Could we finally see the race where Carson Keane is dethroned? We will, of course, soon find out. Well, it might well be. Will he be the one to tame the beast that is the Styrian Mountains? Of course, just to confirm, by the way, in regards to the generalised requirements, the circuit has to be at least 3.5 kilometres long, straights can be no longer than 2 kilometres, and circuits shouldn't exceed 7 kilometres in length. They must be at least 12 metres wide at all points. The first corner must provide a change of direction of at least 45 degrees, so it can't be too tight. Or too long, and the starting line has to be at least 250 meters before the first corner as well. So those are just the sort of the generalized things. Doesn't necessarily say anything about corner numbers.
What did you say about the straights? Because I thought Vegas was more than that of recent. Anyway.
It has to be less than 2 kilometers long.
Yeah, less than. Carson Keane goes at quickest again, 12s. I know it's going to get low 12s. And thanks for Sheila out there. Saying he's got a quality ban from last week, so that's the reason why Dan the man is sitting in pit road at the moment, just looking at all this. And Charlotte at that, let us know what do you know? Just ask Dan what sort of time he would have been able to put in if he didn't have a quality ban. I'm just curious to know, because Dan of late's been qualifying amazingly, hasn't he, Zach?
Yeah, he has. He's had a sensationally good season. It must be said. At the moment, it's at third in the Drivers' Championship for the Advanced, fighting with Christian Jasper for that third place runners-up spot. He's looking fairly good to do so. I mean, he's taken a number of podiums so far this season. 2 second places at rounds 1 and round 5. Been tantalisingly close as well, with 4th places at 3 and 4. And just overall had a fairly consistent season. Been held back a little bit with some bad luck, but all in all, it's been a mightily good and impressive season, and one that I'm sure he is very impressed with himself, as he has come in and said a number of times. He's fielded some very nice liveries as well over the course of the season. I remember a couple of weeks ago when good old Shayla whacked on a nice pink Panther livery for him, and he went racing with that one, and it did work out for him, because he managed to get a 2nd place with it. So
bring that back again, please. I saw he's gone back to the regular livery. I can't show it the way, but James goes in. Anthony's out on track. Yeah, last week it was interesting, Zach. I know you weren't here. But Dan, I mean, obviously Dan should have admitted that's the reason we got the qualifying ban. I mean, he was fast. He was furious, but, just a little silly mistake, I think, every once in a while that Dan does. But that's just, it reminds me of the days of Max Verstappen. Remember when he entered Formula 1? I mean, they used to call him Crash Verstappen, didn't they? Back. Really, people don't remember that, but he was aggressive. He would stick his nose into places that he shouldn't be as a racing driver. But at the end of the day, a few years later, he's a multiple world champion. So it does pay off when you want to have that aggression, You just got to learn to tame it at the end of the day, because we're learning to tame the qualifying session. It's pretty much done and dusted. Only Mike, I think, the Canadian driver, is out on track at the moment. Still, not really. He's sitting on the grid. And practice start. Hey, that's clever. That is clever, because how many times have we seen mistakes this season from drivers not launching it correctly off the grid?
No, very clever indeed, especially here at the Red Bull Ring. Mightily important to get a good launch, and notice how he did it from P11 as well. It wasn't from pole position or anything like that. It was from his grid spot to best replicate the conditions in the race. But you can't necessarily guarantee that.
Yeah.
The conditions as such, but he will be on that side of the circuit, and there you can see him giving up in this session basically. But we have seen many chaotic starts because these are tricky cars. I mean, rear-wheel drive, a ton of power going to the rear wheels, and a fairly sensitive clutch button point as well. I mean, if you don't get it quite right, you can have a ton of wheel spin or not go anywhere at all. So either way, suboptimal.
And the weather conditions here at the moment, we got like 80 Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that is. 103, it's just changed as we're changing into the race session at the moment. There it is, 103. So just like that, Zach, bingo. Got to 80 again, so it'll sort itself out in a second. That's the track. Air temperature is 76 Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that is. I work in Celsius, of course. We are in a modern era. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to get murdered. But we do have Carson Keane on the pole and James Cunningham in P2. You want to go through those grids, actually? We'll go through it right now for you, Zach.
Thank you very much. After qualifying then, only 13 thousandths of a second separate our top two. It's the championship leader, potentially championship winner, alongside James Cunningham on row 1 with Andy Yeager and Robert Ridgway, 3 and 4. Ridgway, of course, needs to move forward if he wants any hope of winning the championship in a week's time in Interlagos. Anthony Wilburn is alongside Christian Jasper for row 3 ahead of Anthony Zyke and Seth MacFarlane row 4. Peter Venning, intermediate championship leader in P9 ahead of Andy Cody, who rounds off the top 10. Then comes Mike Veer and Samuel Marr, 11th and 12th place, with a lonely Dan Whitfield, hopefully not an unlucky 13 grid slot. Of course, I'm lucky to have the qualifying ban, and hopefully that's where his bad luck ends at a 45 minutes of racing. We're moments away from getting ourselves underway, and this is a pivotal race for Carson Keane and for Robert Ridgway.
Well, yes, it is. It's going to be pivotal to get that car into turn 1. We've seen a lot of drivers. In fact, this is one of those classic tracks that you pretty much guaranteed two cars to come together. I don't want to jinx it. I know that there is no such thing as a commentator's curse with you, my friend, but I've already having to curse a couple of drivers of recent late there. You said switching to them, a race leader. I didn't even switch to the race leader during the whole race. I switched to the race leader within 30 seconds. I think I showed you that. Probably less than that. He binned it. Anyway, we need to call a race start here for the penultimate round of the season.
Here we go. The 5 red lights are on. Keane and Cunningham, the front row. And we're underway here in Austria. A decent start from the rest of the midfield. And there's a couple of people tangling a little bit further back. There might have been Andy Cody and Anthony Zyke momentarily. Into the lead of the race, though. Carson Keane able to facilitate that pole position. Christian Jasper already up 3 places. Robert Ridgway stays stationed as we now ascend our way up the mountain towards turn number 3, the next braking zone. And you can see the 23 machine of James Cunningham trying to put some pressure on for the race lead. Carson Keane able to hold station, hold that inside line, and stay ahead for now. Very good race start indeed. Robert Ridgway, though, he needs to be making some advancements forward. He cannot wait around there in 4th place. He needs to get back onto the back of Christian Jasper and potentially start getting after the top 2, who already have a monumental lead.
Yeah, look at those gains at the moment for some of those drivers. No race control incidents. So I do believe everybody got there through quite well. You can see the lights on the top of them. They do have a certain amount of extra horsepower that they can use, essentially, as you say, with the passing, like the overtake button. And yeah, Carson's probably using it. Something last week as well, too. I wanted to talk to you about Zach in the race, because some of the drivers were using it very, very wisely, especially somebody like Carson Keane. He just chooses to use it defensively more than anything, and of course, in a position where you can. That's fantastic. As just like that, we're about to start lap 2.
Yeah, they're going to come thick and fast here at the Red Bull Ring. Only probably 112, maybe 113 race pace. As we go back to here for Anthony Wilburn, who's been having a couple of races of some bad luck. And unfortunately, that's going to continue into the pit barrier there.
Yeah, that's not a place to go in.
No, that's not the pit lane. Side by side between Dan Whitfield and Seth MacFarlane. Dan Whitfield not waiting around at all to make some good moves. There you can see on the inside of Seth MacFarlane, picks his way up in a 6th place. It isn't done yet has to fight with the American driver down towards turn number 4, giving him ample space on the outside. Seth MacFarlane, he's going to try and go the long way around to 4, but Whitfield, with all the space on the inside, takes that without hesitation. 5th place and up 8 already. That race pace that Shayla was talking about is coming into the light, and oh my goodness me, is it threatening.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's got some pure pace there. He said mid-11s as well, too. Just a low fuel race. Didn't bother practicing because of the ban. Well, I don't think I need to at the moment. But another man that is looking to practice an overtake is our Norwegian driver, Peter. So, Peter, he's up at the moment, too. 2 places as he gets it on Samuel Marr, of course, who's back again. Good to see Samuel Marr. And Andy's gone around. Oh, the final corner, and luckily avoided there. Nobody else is coming around the corner. As you can see in the track map, gets a nice little spin there for the American driver, 76, and that's it. That's still the final corner. What do you reckon? He's hit the, called the sleeping policeman, or whatever you want to call it. They call it here on the inside there. Bang. Yes, he has. Yep, there it is. And what do you mean, Zach? You know that for a racing driver, or at least. No grip, right? No grip out there?
Well, yeah, the inside wasn't the cause of the spin. It was, in fact, the outside just planting the power too much. Get some wheel spin, of course, with the grip. You don't have as much on the curb. And that is unfortunately what sent Andy Cody for a good little bit of a spin. Couple of battles here. Peter Vedding versus Samuel Marr, that's 7th place, versus Mike Veer and Andy Yeager at the 9th and 10th place respectively as well. The top 2 not really separated by too much either, only half a second separating Keane and Cunningham. Let's see, Samuel Marr, of course, Peter Vedding just ahead. These 2 fighting for places in the overall championship. They're only 2 points apart in that regard, with the Macau driver preceding the intermediate championship leader of the Norwegian. He, of course, needs to beat Seth MacFarlane today in order to retain that championship lead at the front. However, as it stands, Seth MacFarlane is 2.5 seconds up the road, and that's 2.5 seconds too many for Peter Vedding.
Yeah, and well, there you go. Cunningham still keeping Mr. Carson Keane at bay, and that's good to see it, because Carson Keane just runs away with this one. He's run away with the championship. There is still a battle brewing back there. Samuel wants to take this position back again from Petter, and the problem is, too, you're wondering at some point, you can see the light on the top of it, so there's a defensive overtake there from Petter. He's using the overtake button in a defensive manner, and you want to definitely be doing it as you go through your series of your right turn before you go into your left turns coming up. I wanted to actually go back in a second. All this battle's resuming because, as Susan said in that chat, well done at Daniel, because he's gained 8 positions off the race start. That 8 positions is amazing. We will get a look at that in a minute. We'll have to go back because I don't want to miss any of this action, because the Canadian driver's just lurking in the background. And what's happened there?
Samuel Marr trying to put some pressure onto Petter Vedding. It's now a 3-horse fight between Norway, Macau and Canada. The 3 most minority nations in this championship is darting to the pit wall as Samuel Marr into turn number 1. He gets the measure, gets the squeeze from Petter Vedding, who eventually gives him the space and allows him through. But now we start this run, this uphill ascend towards turn number 3. I don't think Vedding has got the run that he had anticipated. He thought that he was going to squeeze Marr all the way to the inside and then have a run on this run, but it's not. There's a big lock up there. Oh my goodness me, Petter Vedding unfortunately sent sideways. He broke way too late going in, way too hard, locked the rear tyres, and unfortunately around he went. That is not the couple of corners that he would have wanted by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, no, just like that, isn't it? It's very difficult, isn't it? That braking zone there, you get slam on the stop pedal, and unfortunately that is just the way it goes. We see the fastest lap just came in a little bit there from James in P2, so he's still keeping Carson Keane at bay. I mean, I'm curious. We're going to try to find out a little bit more about where they are using that overtake button, defend and offend, which I love about these Super Formula cars. I think a lot of all the other cars really have to have this, gone over this a million times in Formula 1 as well too. Carson Keane's responded, but he set the fastest lap 13.7, 13.9. But then again, Dan's on the charge. Dan the man set the fastest lap of everybody in P5. He's catching the back there of Robert Ridgway. That's going to be crucial in the championship as well too. Remember, Robert needs to get gains here with Carson Keane on the top step currently at the moment. Still 38 minutes of racing to go. I still wanted to see really quickly at the race start. I just wanted to see what Dan did to just to slide past everybody. Look at this. Plot blast, right? Have a look at this for a launch.
Just went.
1,
just
2.
Zoomed.
All right. He's going to get a few on the inside here for sure. 3, 4, 5, 6,
Five.
7. And there's a little contact there. Are you kidding me?
Of course, one of them thought they'd have a fight back and then eventually backed out.
Wow.
I mean, there was a bit of contact.
I've never seen
Because
that.
he did go quite deep, but 5 cars into one corner. That honestly caught me by surprise. I've never heard my voice go higher. I am absolutely astonished by Dan Whitfield. Up in a 5th place. He's got 1.3 seconds to the next car. Let's see.
I think Mike's gone around there for a second. No, he's gone straight back into pit road. So that's very unfortunate there from Weir. We saw just the end of that one. We'll have a look at the replay, of course. There it is. He's hit the chicane on the inside, isn't it? Trying to overcorrect it, and bingo, straight on the fence.
Yep. And losing his front right wheel. That has, of course, spelled an end to
Peter's
his
gone
race,
in.
Unfortunately. Petter comes in as well.
Yeah,
That's
Petter.
probably after the spin that he had at turn 3. However, he didn't quite sustain suspension damage. He's not stopped, so he's just got a drive through. Maybe already exceeding the incident limit. Maybe he's has had some contacts, and obviously with that spin, the 2x for that one.
Here it is. Yeah.
Bringing him down. Or here is obviously Sam Yamar getting squeezed.
This is where
This wouldn't have
Petter-
given him a drive through, but it would have been where he spun. Then you can see just in behind, I believe, that was Andy Jaeger trying to get a good run. But Petter Vedding, maybe he had already had some contacts and things early on to build up those incident points and off tracks as such, easy to get here at the Red Bull Ring. And then into this corner, you can see way too late on the brakes, locked the rears, spun him round, but didn't tap the wall, didn't get any damage or anything like that, just purely had a drive through. And I think that is the consequence that he has just had to face.
See what he can do to recover. Yeah, you're right, isn't it? Because you saw that it just locked up on his own. Didn't look like any damage. So we shall see. But one person at the moment has got a 1.2 second gap currently at the moment, Carson King. And doing Carson King things, leading. There's James still keeping him in the hunt. As you can see on your track map as they make their way into turn 4. Now you get the downhill climb after you've done the uphill. And then, more than anything, we've still got Anthony here, just behind Mr. Andy. That's the closest battle you see on the track. They've started to spread out quite a bit there. So we've got the Whitfield family out there, and the aunties also rooting there for Daniel. I love that. The Daniel fan club's always in here, without fail, every week, aren't they, Zach?
They are his best cheerleaders. But unfortunately, he's come up a little bit short, according to Shayla. His goal was P4 by the end of lap 1. He's only managed P5 by the end of lap 8, which is it's just a failure, right? It's only 8 places? How dare he not get 9? How dare he not be leading? Daniel Whitfield. It's disgusting.
You want to go on board and find out how he did this?
He just launched, just went, just didn't wait around. Great start, was already turning, straight through, bam, there's 2. Contact just ahead, he's licking his lips thinking, all right, cheers, boys. All the way to the right-hand side, just says, are you going to brake? Oh, I don't want to, so no, I'm just not. Bit of a lock-up, went down to first gear and just went straight, but just thought, no, I'm Dan Whitfield. Do I care? Absolutely not. Sue me. And then just drove away, didn't say anything else, left no crumbs, took his receipt and checked out, and now is running fairly comfortable in 5th place.
Yeah, I know. Look at that. All those cars at the gag, all the cars behind him. So I didn't think he could actually set up that. I was surprised he had managed to stop that car without a huge lockup. Of course, he couldn't turn it just in time, which is the reason why he got a little tap on the back there by another driver that was turning in going, where is this car coming from? You know, that happens to the best Formula 1 drivers in the world too. They get a turn in on a corner and they go, where? I mean, of course, they'll be on the team ready, go, he hit me. The other driver will be going, no, well, he hit me, you know, because they have to do that legally. But you have to say, you give it all credit there. Daniel at 8 positions at the moment, but he started to back off a little bit. He's hovering at that 1 marker right there. You see 1 second to Mr. Robert Ridgway. There is Robert up there, and Robert's actually burning. You see the flash of light there from Robert's car? So Robert is going a little defensive here. Maybe he is starting to feel the pressure there from Dan the man, because of that. Dan is starting to catch it there. So is Christian Jasper. Oh, well, it's starting to build up, as you can see on the track map. We still have 33 minutes to go, Zach.
Yep, still plenty of racing to come. And Susan Whitfield, apparently he's running to the females' restroom, according to those emojis. Maybe I shouldn't be a hieroglyph decryptor, because that is the message I'd probably get from half of the hieroglyphs that I depict. But there you go. Maybe Dan Whitfield. No, there's no way I can twist that to make it sound at all broadcast appropriate. Anyway, he's in 5th place, and he is trying to chase after Robert Ridgway, who needs that 4th place. In fact, he needs to be better than that 4th place. As it stands, with Carson Keane having the fastest lap, 4th place is not good enough. Robert Ridgway needs 3rd, and that will just about scrape him through. And then, even then, in fact, because of the fact that Carson Keane has that drop score of 3rd place, even if Robert Ridgway has a 4th place here today, it means that going into the next race, Carson Keane, at worst, can finish 3rd, because that is the lowest score. If he finishes 4th, he gets 3rd back and effectively finishes 3rd for that round. So that makes it a little bit more confusing for me, because obviously Ridgway, the gap is 9 points, but he needs...
I mean, he needs...
The math isn't mathing.
I'd say it needs
the map
a
isn't
podium.
mathing.
And, well, obviously
Because
a podium
even then,
and then a fastest
even then,
lap.
No, because even then... No, because obviously if Ridgway then gets onto the podium and scores 25 points to Carson Keane's 34 as it stands, a win plus the fast lap, plus the point for pole as well. That would then be 25 for Ridgway, 34, which is a loss of 9, which puts his total loss at 34. That's for 4th place. 27 would then be plus 2, which then means the gap would be 32. But going into the round, Carson Keane can, at worst, score 27 points, because that's his drop score. And the biggest gain that Robert Ridgway can gain on that is then 34 minus 7, which is only 7 points. So Robert Ridgway needs a deficit of less than 7 points going into the final round, which basically tells me that you don't need to do the maths as such. Carson Keane is effectively, as long as he crosses the line as the victor in this race, has basically won the championship.
And he doesn't need the fastest lap on top of that? Or is that with the fastest lap?
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay. Well, he's doing the right thing. Yeah.
This is usually the situation where I'd ask Brian. I'd run to Brian and be like, mate, I'm not chatting absolute waffle, am I? But unfortunately, he's got a family emergency, which is why you don't see him.
I was going to say, speaking of which, where is Brian, our boss man?
He's had to unfortunately run.
Well, big shout out, of course, to Brian out there that can't attend. I'm sure he'll be eager to watch this one back later on. Are you still here there, Zach? I think I lost you there for a second.
Oh, no.
Oh, right. Susan's out there. And then you made me laugh.
Oh, laugh so much she had to run to... Okay, no, I'm with you, Susan. Don't worry. No, I'm with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay, that just didn't make any sense. I was confused there. But anyway, yeah, right. The hieroglyphs, just words, so much simpler.
Hieroglyphs. What are we in Egypt? I know
Yeah.
what you mean. Emojis. All right. Anyway, we so thanks for that, Susan. Keep everybody occupied out there. Of course, the Whitfield family is keeping everybody out there. You got the auntie, got everybody. I swear. And good on Daniel, because once again we saw that at the start there. But he's fallen back a little bit at the moment from Robert. We don't know, of course, how much energy they still have stored in that overtake button, which is going to come into play a little bit later. We're not seeing anything used at the moment from Christian here. You can see that little light on top of the car there. That's a green light. If that thing starts flashing, they're using it. You can use it to defan, you can use it to offhand, but you are limited to the amount of time you have it. It's also interesting as well too, Zach, because I saw a lot of drivers just keeping it on during the whole practice session, which they can, not during qualifying, but the practice. Do you think any advantage, do you think, that drivers are doing by that? Like just getting used to what happens when they get that little extra kilowatt power at your right foot, just use it the whole way during a lap? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you do use it for the whole lap, then obviously you have to have it during the traction zones as well, which at turn 3 I wouldn't advise. because obviously it's a heavy traction zone. There's a lot of power going to the rear wheels. Also, obviously at turn 4, turn 1, there are a lot of key traction zones here that might not be as beneficial to use the extra power with. But if you can control it, the speed you get down the next straight would outweigh it as such. All you'd be doing though is burning, well, what is it, 73 seconds. You'd be wasting effectively just over a third of your total push to pass for the whole race in one go.
Oh yeah, you're right. I saw actually a few drivers make mistakes actually using that during practice sessions. So then again, that's it. It's available, and you said that practice session you can use unlimited amounts, but when it comes to the race, you have to manage it correctly. And you can see at the moment that Robert and Christian are not changing it. Then and speak of the devil there, that's James going around. Uh-oh. So the man that was in P2, putting the only pressure currently at the moment on Carson Keane, who set the fastest lap just before, is now in big trouble. What happened there, Zach?
Well, let's have a look. Lock up into... Oh, no, in fact, it wasn't a lock up from him. It was the exact opposite. In fact, it was oversteer as opposed to understeer. The turn 3 is what's bestowed James Cunningham. And that is vastly unfortunate for him, of course.
Go on board.
And let's have a look.
Yeah.
Loops it round.
So quick, isn't it?
Into the barrier.
And I will rewind this for a second because it's just, I don't like doing it, but we just want to see. I want you to take me through like this, like Zach, as you know, like it's right on board. We'll full speed it. Look how easy it is. What happened? There.
Just over, the rear end lifted up, didn't have any traction, and tried to put his foot down when there was no traction. And in doing so, the car said, "No, mate, it's not happening," and spun himself around. A big shame, and it's effectively relinquished control of this race back to Carson Keane. In fact, he was always in control of this race, was James Cunningham. Would also like to add, I have just sort of written down the numbers on my notes app just to sort of visualize it a little bit better. So 34 is the maximum amount of points that you can score in a round as such. So as it stands, the gap is 25 between Keane and Ridgway. Now going into the final round, if things were to stay as they are right now, with actually, in fact, Ridgway has just moved us up to 3rd thanks to Cunningham. So we'll I'll give Ridgway 2 extra points, so he'll be on 171, which drops the gap to 32. The lowest score, in fact, that Carson Keane can then get an Interlagos, as I say, is a 3rd place because that's his drop score. So that's the lowest amount of points that Keane can get, which is 25, which then brings his new total to 228 with the points, and then the or in fact 27, I should say. So so his new lowest score would then be 230 points. But then if Robert Ridgway was to win fastest lap, pole position, and gain all of the points for that round, he would only be able to score then 205 points, which is still 25 points too little. I'm trying to work out how Ridgway can still mathematically win the championship. I don't think he can.
I mean, either way, he can't afford to have Christian win a race, or at least be ahead of him on track. So at this point, he needs, bad luck, really. He basically needs the commentator's curse up here to throw on Carson Keane, at best.
Oh, unfortunately, that is a strong myth, and unfortunately not a power that we can bestow to a driver.
You
and
sure?
Even if we could, we wouldn't.
Is that?
We cannot intervene. Carson Keane into the next corner is going to spin, lose the race, lose the championship, and have his whole
It doesn't work
career
when you
hopes
do
and
it like
dreams.
that, Zach. You have to do it when I do it.
It doesn't work anyway.
Oh, look at this. So Robert's using a little bit of the powerhouse here right now. So let's go on board and have a look. He did use a little bit, sort of like flashing. So again, it gives you an indication that he's applying a little bit of the overtake button that's available for him, a certain amount of time exactly that is available. Actually, unfortunately, I don't think iRacing actually give us any of that sort of telemetry. I'd like to actually show we do have push to passes in other racing leagues, and it shows you like how many times they use the push to pass button back when we could have IndyCar, and thankfully that will obviously the IndyCar investment into that other game, and unfortunately just fell through. They're bankrupt, and hopefully IndyCar considers going back to iRacing now after realizing that was just a big shenanigans. But who knows? But we don't have that. We don't have, unfortunately, any timing information to give us how much seconds that they have left in each of the cars, which I'd be interested in. Hopefully they do and implement that in the future there, Zach.
Implement what exactly?
The amount of time that they have on their overtake.
Yeah, 200 seconds.
Yeah, but we know how much each of the drivers I could list up on the timing tower.
Oh, that is a thing. I think that is a thing.
I don't know. But we'll see about getting it, obviously, for the final race. It'd be interesting. Then again, I just wonder if we're going to be giving away any secrets as well, too, because you got to remember, somebody out there, of course, you've got the whole Whitfield family. They can actually just go, Daniel, the driver up the road has only 13 seconds left. That would kind of be a little bit of, inside information, wouldn't it? That as well. I don't know. I know that for a fact when I used to cast Formula 1, I wouldn't show the telemetry information for that very reason. Somebody just flashed in the background. I would show the telemetry information for that very reason, because the other some people the engineers would be listening to the broadcast and actually say that, they don't have much energy recovery, ERS left and stuff like that. So, then again, this is a fun league. I don't think people are going to take it that seriously, Zach.
No. Probably not. I mean, there are prizes on offer for the winners as such, but I don't think it's that deep. When you get to the top level of esports and things, I suppose most notably maybe F1 esports, just for simplicity's sake. Obviously, no, Biggles is a massive fan of that. But they hide all their setups. They hide all even their brake bias.
Oh, look up there! That one's going to be on that. Dan's got the fastest lap on that one. He's going to put pressure on Robert Ridgway, which is also going to be crushing Robert's chances and hopes and dreams of doing anything about Carson Keen if we mathematically figure that one out. Last late breakers! Is Dan the man, Daniel Ricciardo, in a Super Formula car? I don't know. Either way, look at this. He's using the overtake. Talk us through this one, Zach.
Let's see if there's going to be any counterattack, but not quite close enough. Daniel Whitfield, sensation. He finds his way up into third place. Very nicely done. Robert Ridgway, though, that's the championship slipping away. I mean, it already was. But what a move it was from Daniel Whitfield, who's obviously got his army of cheerleaders cheering him on from the sidelines. 2 seconds up to Christian Jasper, and still 20 minutes left to go in this race. Still plenty of time for things to change. And Ridgway in fourth. Going to be tough for him to find a way past, especially with driving like that.
Yeah, that's sleepy. Now they're both using it. They're both using the overtake. Look at the cockpit. Up for a second or so. Oh, is that the harvesting? I'll get a little confused on that one. I need to rely on your skills. Okay, you're going to school. You're studying engineering. You can tell me about all this. See the flushing? That's the harvesting, but they're not harvesting. Remember, you don't recover it, do you? You have a limited amount per race.
So you get 200 seconds for the whole race, and there's a 100-second cooldown in between each one. You don't necessarily have to recharge the fuel to recharge the extra power as such, because it's fuel based and not battery based.
So
the way the push.
Go ahead.
Go on.
No.
Well, the way the push to pass works in the Super Formula cars is it's rich mix. It puts more fuel into the combustion chamber relative to how much air there is. Obviously, anyone that knows engines and such, you need air, you need fuel. They compress, they spark, they bang, and that's how then the piston is driven down. That's how the crankshaft turns, and blah blah blah, all the way down to the wheels. Mike Veer, unfortunately, has given too much to the rear wheels and finds himself spinning, facing backwards. But sort of with the push to pass, the more fuel you put in, the more power you can get, because the bigger the explosion will be, the more power there is to drive that piston down, to turn the crank, more rotational force, therefore the wheels can drive a little bit quicker. When it comes to electrical energy, what you do is you press the button on the steering wheel, it tells the battery to send more power to the motor and spin it faster electronically, as opposed to by just dumping more fuel into the engine as such. So you don't need to recharge the push to pass as such. The only I suppose recharging there is is the cooldown in between each use?
Oh, sorry, that was my question. Sorry, I mean, apart from the fantastic deep engineering, as you said, about how the whole system works, which is fantastic. It was more about the cooldown, exactly, why they're flashing like that, because they weren't actually using it. I just say harvesting energy, of course, because they are, but that's not something that's available to a driver, because they're not going to get any additional like they do in Formula 1. And there it is. So there's a flash right now, currently top, which makes me think he's trying to use it. There it is. The overtake is on. So they're 81 seconds. So he's going to use it down the straightaway here, of course. I would back off into turn 1, which he does cleverly, because you're in the slipstream now, aren't you? You can just follow the car through here, navigate it. We're on board right now with Samuel. And will he use it again, Zach? Remember, he's down to what, 80 something? Couldn't see what it says. It's 6th gear. He's actually got the slipstream, so I don't really need to use it to catch, does he? Sends up the inside, last and late breakers. Be careful of the switch back there if you do cut it through, but there it is, job done. Now, Seth has a chance to come back here.
That's the beauty of the RedBull ring, is it's back-to-back straight, but once he's recouped himself after the... Ooh, that was close to the rear end. But once he's recouped himself after the overtake, it's not a long enough run into turn 4 to really go for a move, unless there are... unless it was obviously planned that he was going to lose that position, give it up, get a switch back, and get that run into turn 4. No way through for Seth MacFarlane. However, when you factor in the consideration that Sammy Marr is an advanced driver and Seth MacFarlane is an intermediate,
Yes.
you can sort of forgive MacFarlane for being a little bit more lenient, as he is there in 7th place and crucially ahead of Petter Vedding for that intermediate championship going into the final round.
And we're going to get into that a little bit, because Dan, Robert started to catch back up on Dan, and you can see that at the moment somebody's locked up into that corner. It's at turn 1. No, we're at the top of the hill. So, yeah, turn 2, or 3 really, call it turn 2. That kink doesn't really count, but here it is. Robert wants it back from Dan the man. Is he going to send it? No, he sends a dummy at least. That's going to throw him off there. Lock up there from Daniel. Here we go. You can go side by side through this whole track if you want, and please do, drivers. Keep us entertained.
Yeah, it is encouraged. As you can see, Ridgway and Whitfield still fighting it out. Whitfield still, to the cheers of the crowd, stays ahead with 15 minutes left to go in this race. But RedBull Ring, it's such a raceable circuit. Almost ovalesque is the dynamic that you have, because the slipstream is so prevalent and overtakes can happen almost everywhere. That it is a similar racing that is what you get in an oval.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I'm just wondering at the moment here if... see, Robert's got the exit, a fantastic exit out of turn 1. And now he'll come up the little kink, which is called turn 2. So I'm always going to blame that and not even being a proper turn, but it is. And now top, this is where you produce it, over and unders. Formula 1, of course, it's a massive DRS zone. Both the drivers go wide through there because they want to get on the power early. You see, no wiggle room. There's your DRS activation if you had it. At this point, no activation from Robert. We don't know what he has left in his overtake buttons. We don't see Daniel using anything in defense at this point there, because he doesn't really need to, does he? Because look at that. He's got a great exit out of 4. And then your series of the only left-hand corners here. You're going to be... You know, if you're into motorsports, you lean into the corner, don't you? Even if you're in the casting box or even watching the pictures. So you lean into it. You kind of feel that lean gives you a bit of faster speed, doesn't it, back?
Definitely does. Well, I mean, these guys get loads of sensations of speed, even in the
oh, no battery lock on the Robert. Look, that's the red light. None. And then you got to know that I wonder if Daniel could see that in his mirrors. Because if Daniel sees that in his mirrors, he's well aware that that's going to be very hard to see from Daniel's perspective, of course. You look at that when we're looking over his wing, but if you go back to his cockpit cam, and I do apologize, I do not have the rear mirrors, and they're going to see him anyway, but if Daniel even wants to take his eyes into those mirrors for a second, it'd be very hard to spot if there's a red light on top of Rob's car, which give Daniel a little bit of breathing space, although I think Daniel's got his fan club out there to let him know that that's being kind of probably relayed right now. They'll be shouting to him, Daniel, he has nothing left! But Robert has something called slipstream.
Indeed he does, and that's a crucial one. So Whitfield is going to have to use his defensive his defensive push pass. Modley's Kiko comes in to say, wait, Zach, says leaning into it in sim racing gives you extra speed. Of course it does. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But the commentary curse is not real at all. When you lean, what you do is you actually hyperfixate on the apex, and you shift the weight. What you do is you're shifting your weight more onto the steering wheel, which means you actually turn better. That's the science behind it anyway. And not even that, it's just one of those psychological things that works. I suppose a kind of a placebo effect as such, like when people like or like when people like wince as about when they're about to crash or anything like that. It is just a natural reaction to what you're doing because you are so immersed, and also sort of in karting when people duck their heads to the steering wheel as if to have human DRS. Doesn't do anything. Absolutely not.
I do that.
Will it have?
Yeah,
Will it have a
fun.
minuscule? It'll have a minuscule effect on the aerodynamics of the go-kart. You're not going quick enough to feel the effect, but does it make you think you're going 200 miles an hour? Absolutely.
Well,
so
yeah.
I suppose that psychological aspect, it does work.
Oh.
The commentary curse, though, however,
Oh, here we go.
no.
Well, you see,
No.
on the karting, you see, it's difficult, because, when you're an older man and you're racing up against somebody who's like 8 years old and weighs nothing, of course they're going to be quicker, aren't they? Because the cars aren't balanced for
Yeah, but
weight.
that's weight. That's
I know
aerodynamics.
that, but you got to do everything you possibly can to do it anyway. It is psychological, you said
You know what you
that.
can do?
What?
Drive better.
Oh, okay. Yes. I'll still beat you on a go-kart track any day of the week there. Let's go, Zach. All right, that's proven. We'll do it on
5 seconds left of overtake for Ridgway.
Here we go.
He's going to dump it all here with still 12 minutes left to go, and he's used all of it. No more left to go. But
It's a send. No. Can't do the cutback. He can actually. He's going to force him into a mistake. Can he get the power down right now? Robert's going to have to utilize the best of this. And of course, Daniel's going to have to defend like mad. What do you reckon into turn 4? It's going to be late.
The right-hand side. Whitfield's later on the brakes, though. Nicely done. And not enough for Ridgway to find a way past. It was a
brilliant.
dump.
Yeah. And now look at that lights out. It's literally lights out, isn't it? At that point of overtaking abilities, because you're limited to it. Because we still have another battle at the back there between Andy and Anthony. We'll keep an eye on this. As once again, Mod out there giving us some information. I love the chat there. We're missing you, Mod, of course, for racing this season. You already mentioned the reasons why you cannot, but we're loving to have you in the broadcast channel as well with all the Whitfield family members. Carson Keane, 4 seconds up the road there. Now, Robert needs this, doesn't he? He needs this big time. He cannot afford to have Daniel. This pretty much handing the whole championship to Carson Keane.
Effectively, yeah. I really don't think there's anything he can do. Modely's Kiko would probably know, in fairness. Obviously, my calculations were the fact that with the gap being 25 points as it is, the maximum points all for a round is 34. However, Carson Keane's lowest points drop that he can get is 27. So going into the final round, the gap has to be less than 9 points for Ridgway to in fact win the championship, because Carson Keane, if he wins now, the gap is going to be even bigger. Maybe not mathematically over the maximum for the championship. I'm explaining this really poorly because it's off the top of my head. But as you can see there, 25 points between Keane and Ridgway. 34 is the maximum points haul for a round. Ridgway needs a third place in order to stay in mathematical contention, but the addition of the drop round means that Keane, at worst, finishes third place next week, because if he finishes fourth, he gets the third place back. So Carson Keane and Robert Ridgway, the biggest differential for them needs to be Robert Ridgway outscoring Carson Keane by like 19 points or something like that, which is ridiculously unrealistic, especially with 9 minutes left to go, and Carson Keane is still leading the way by 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, there's Carson at the moment. Carson, I'm going to give you a curse. All right, Carson, here it's time. It's Biggles' time to curse shine you at the moment. I think Carson Keane's immune to this at the moment. Anyway, when I'm trying to do it deliberately, it does not work. I need to do it in the way that it just pans out for the accidentalness. Yeah, because, you know, somehow my lucky charm when it comes to cursing drivers is just all if I point the camera in the right place. So that Carson just sets a fastest lap. He ain't slowing down. He's got a 4-second gap. But then again, coming back to Carson's curse, it was a very race that I did switch to the race leader who was going faster and faster. And I happened to mention, hey, I don't know why he's going quicker and quicker. And then he made a mistake. So Carson, listen, it has happened before. Anyway, he wants to take that one. He wants to probably wrap this championship up with style. Just trying to read through that. No crashing today, mod. It's all out there. Carson Keane, of course, he only gets the trifecta. But then again, you're saying Carson Keane not to lose a race. He hasn't lost a race all season, hasn't he? Apart from that drop week. And that's not even counted. Oh, and Anthony's gone into pit road. I think it's because that's Anthony Wilbur. But we have Anthony Zyke. That's not too bad. We've all done that. However, I think Anthony's going there for maybe steal the fastest lap away. Why not? If you can put the pace up. You got nothing to lose, do you? I mean, his last place. Do you think he's going to be trying to help out anybody else on the track there at the moment? And even for Robert Ridgway, he can't really help him, can he? By stealing. Robert's got no overtake left. All he can do, even though he just set the fastest lap without it in that slipstream, he's got to keep Daniel at bay. Daniel, of course, our driver of the day, I would have to say at the end of the day. There you go. Say that twice there, Zachary, but 10 positions gained after a qualifying ban. I'd say look out for Dan in the future seasons to come.
Yeah, big improvements have been made, and he, of course, has had the support, which is always good. Families and friends, which, you know, always boosts you from a morale point of view, but also can put some pressure on you because he always knows that he's got at least 3 or 4 people that are watching who are expecting him to perform. But he knows, obviously, that with the support, even if things do go wrong, he's going to have, you know, the foundations to push him back up and go for some better results in the future. But I would say eyes on Dan Whitfield for next season. Season 1 and Season 2 of the SR4S, of course, when we were in the Formula 3s, he was there, he had his day. Wasn't mightily consistent. The pace was there. Today's and this season has been a step in the right direction for Daniel Whitfield. He's been building and building and building, finding that pace, finding that groove. I think over the course of next season, Carson Keane is going to have a good run for his money.
Yeah, you're totally right. Now, Mod, I don't know if you just joined us because we saw you, but Mod, if you want to see one of the best drives from last place to first, have a look at this in the replay at the start of the race. Here's Dan. 1-2 off the launch. Once again, we know how important it is. Look at that. Sends it up on the inside there. Couldn't quite get it done avoiding the 2 cars there. Gets a little collision there. And bingo, just like that. It was 8 places, I believe, that's gained there from Dan. I know you would even be very impressed at there, Mod, with that race start. And at the moment, Dan has the fastest lap in this race. Look at that after that. Yeah, there's a little contact, wasn't there, up the road there between 2 of the drivers. So I wonder if that actually caused any damage. We don't know. Perhaps we'll find out when we talk to those drivers. But that is the situation as it is with 4 minutes of change to go in this race. And Carson Keane, once again, loving the lead.
Here he is out in front by a considerable margin with only 5 minutes left to go. So probably going to translate to about 4 laps left with 1 minute 12.7s being put in. So, in fact, actually... yeah, no, bang on, will be about 4 laps left to go, I think, which is, of course, 1 lap less for Carson Keane. Of course, if it was dead on 1 minute, it'd be 5 to go, and he wants to minimise how many laps he's doing out on circuit, is to minimise the risk of things going wrong. Each lap that goes on is another lap where he could spin, or his PC could disconnect, or any of the commentators' curses that we could throw at him. But Carson Keane is out in front, and the only enemy is himself.
Yeah, or once again, you know, the somebody's family members goes, oh no, I can't check my Facebook. My Facebook's not working, so they go reset the router. Yank the power cable out of the router and plug it back in again, turn it off and turn it back on again, right? And all of a sudden, poor Carson Keane internet goes boom. I'm pretty sure Carson Keane may have got some contingency plans against that one. I know for a fact. I've got 2 car batteries here to power my computer if the electricity goes out. I got 2 hours at least, Zach, to power my router and my internet, of course, and my computer if my electricity goes out. Carson Keane goes quicker again. He wanted to steal that one away from Daniel. He wants the fastest lap, and he wants to win the race, and he wants to win the championship. Can anybody... at the moment, I would... If I was the drivers out there, I would try to steal the fastest lap. If you're going to add anything to try to dent Carson Keen's brilliant performance this season, like, seems like Max Verstappen, he does not want to not get everything he can. It's like, I want it all. It's like a Queen song. I want it all and I want it now. Well, steal a fastest lap away from Carson Keen because he's got the race win in the bag.
Even then, I'm not sure he's going to be too fast, in fairness. And the fact is that he's got the best lap time by 12.6 and he's continuing to get quicker, with that last lap being his quickest lap. So with each stride is another improvement really for Carson Keen. The next quickest lap that I can see is a 12.8, or in fact a 12.7 set by Dan Whitfield, so only about half a tenth off, but still half a tenth too short in the fight with Carson Keen. About to start the penultimate lap of this race. 1 minute 10 time, that'll be of course going on to 44 with a minute 12.
Oh, it goes quicker as well.
Quickest lap.
Unbelievable. Yes, at the moment, my 2-car batteries, I have a regular UPS that you can buy at a store, of course, and has a tiny battery in it. But trust me, I have 3 monitors and amplifiers and production equipment that I have to do all the stuff behind the scenes there. That lasts about 10 minutes on a regular UPS system. So I added 2-car batteries, a little bit of a modification. Bingo. You've got a lot more time, which is what I need. Oh, Sergio Ma steals it away there. So Carson Keen on the very last lap has to respond here. If he wants to. I just got this feeling he wants it. You know, you want everything. You're saying, he's cool, calm, and collective. He's got it, but, come on. You know for a fact you don't want to lose that. He's been sitting the fastest laps after fastest laps. Samuel Ma just goes bingo, takes it. Samuel Ma, of course, gains 6 positions back into the field here. What about Carson Keen? Can he get it done?
I think he's taking a bit of a slower lap just to prepare himself.
Might be right,
Let's see if he's got any push to pass to use.
I bet he has. He's going to have to use it because that's got 6-second gap. He doesn't use it for defense. He got traffic at the right. He could actually get a slipstream of anything. We'll see. It's right on board for the last lap. We don't really give Carson Keen much exposure. Look at the exit out of that turn too. Look at that. Just a little switch to the left. Bang. He pointed the steering straight. That's the key, isn't it, Zach? You don't want to be fighting the car out of the corner. You want it to point in that direction and then hit the loud pedal and bingo. Look at it. It's like on rails. It's amazing. Third gear.
Driving the car to its absolute limits with just how strong of a driver that Carson Keen is. He can drive it as close to the limit as possible, sometimes even just a little bit more than that. He's got half a lap left to go here at the Red Bull Ring to seal yet another victory and effectively seal the championship. I think as long as he turns up at Interlagos, even then, he's getting a 3rd place at Interlagos, and that is going to be enough to win the championship. So, after 2 seasons in the shadow of Mackenzie Roon, he's come out firing for the Super Formulas. Round 1, Round 2, Round 4, Round 5, Round 6, and now Round 7, all but one. And every race that is classified towards his points tally has gone the way of Carson Keen, and nothing changes here in Austria. Carson Keen victorious at the penultimate round and champion of Season 3 of the Sim Racing for Simpleton Super Formula Championship. There, of course, is Christian Jasper, Daniel Whitfield after a remarkable drive to P3. Robert Ridgway,
happy.
It's not enough.
But he was happy right crossing the line like that. And James, of course, is probably not so happy. Yep, there it is. Big lock up there because he knows he made a little bit of a mistake there. Samuel, yeah, that just lost that fastest lap. But good to see the Noku driver back on that one. Seth around the final corner. And we know that they came together a little bit. Seth's lost 5 places. Sorry, I gained 1. Andy is the one that is probably not so happy for the Flying Dutchman. And then Anthony Zyke is kind of around a couple of corners to go, as you can see on your track map in P9. Good to see drivers finishing that one. Oh, really, really wide out of the corner, but I don't think it matters too much. Sees Barney and the Cody there, but I think another big disappointment, isn't it, from Petter? That's in the background as well, too. You see Petter's just in the background, P11, so we'll see Andy's old school Benson and Hedges livery there from the old Jordan days, and there's the Norwegian driver Pato, who's lost 2 places. Anthony unfortunately lapped down there, but good to see. I think he's even out of gas. Oh no, he's already, sorry, crossed it. Anyway, there is your race there, Zachary, and the results coming up for you now.
45 minutes of racing. The penultimate round goes the way of Carson Keane for his 6th victory of this season. Christian Jasper and Dan Whitfield join him on the podium, and Robert Ridgway and James Cunningham in 4 and 5. What could have been for the US Air Force pilot. And of course, with James, I don't actually know if he's a pilot. I thought he might just be involved with the US Air Force. Either way, serving. And only 5th place after what was remarkable potential. Samuel Maher in 6th. They had a Seth MacFarlane who now takes the lead of that intermediate championship. Andy Yeager, Anthony Zykes, and Andy Cody, all the A's in the run to 10th place. Then comes Petter Vedding, who will relinquish that lead in the intermediate championship and will need a sensational round in a week's time to seal the deal. Anthony Wilburn and Mike Veer round off the classification. 13 cars, and what a round it was indeed, Biggles. I have to say, not a bad one.
Yeah, Carson Keen's going to be in the interview room immediately, so we'll get through those because he's done everything he needed to, and I guess we can critically pop the champagne bottle and congratulate him on winning the championship. Well, right? Mathematically? I don't know. It's up to you, Zach. What do you think?
Well, it depends how good or bad my maths is. So in the meantime, we'll put in Christian Jasper first and foremost. Of course, Christian, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. It's been on the up for you recently. I mean, in fairness, you've now taken your 3rd podium of the season with a 2nd place here in at the RedBull Ring.
Yeah, it feels good. I didn't expect that, especially after the start. Excuse me. RedBull Ring is not a strong track for me, so I'm sweating. It's a lot just trying to keep it clean. Silverstone is tough on their off tracks. RedBull Ring is diabolical.
You think?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I had an easier time keeping it off, keeping it on the track at Silverstone than I did at RedBull Ring. It's trying to find it just right on that edge to get the best laps going. It's tough.
Fair enough. I suppose RedBull Ring is a demanding circuit because, yeah, a lot of it is fast paced, heavy braking zones, track limits as well was probably a big thing for you as well.
Yeah. Especially in practice, I had the worst time just trying to keep it on there. So the whole time, my mantra just going through this race was nothing fancy, nothing crazy, nothing new. Keep it on the track. And thankfully, it helped today. It doesn't always help, but it helped out today.
Well, of course, congratulations to you. I mean, just looking at the championship standings, you came in today at 9 points back on Daniel Whitfield. You are going to ever so slightly close that gap, only by a couple of points, but do you reckon you could maybe snag that P3 going into Interlagos?
Fingers crossed. All I can do is hope at this point. I know I've kind of started out on a deficit, especially with Snetterton and with how Road America ended up, but it happens like that sometimes, you just kind of take it on the chin and play the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah, that is true. I suppose that is all you can do. Interlagos, though, should be a very fun one. Great way to end the season, surely.
Oh, absolutely. It's a super fun track. I'm excited to see what this car can do on that track, and I'm excited to see how this field handles it. It'll be a lot of fun. Well,
thank you for joining us, Christian. Of course, before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you want to give to the YouTube chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, thanks to everyone who's watching live and who's watching post. Thank you to you guys for always putting on a good show. I'm excited to go back and see how it went. And thank you to Brian for putting on this league. He wasn't able to make it today. Hope everything's okay. And honestly, just thank you to the whole community. It's a lot of fun being able to do this kind of thing.
Awesome stuff, Christian. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back in a week's time when we head off to Brazil.
Absolutely. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, Christian. Thank you very much for joining us. Second place after the end today. Next up, we'll drag in Mr. Daniel Whitfield, who's been on fire with joining us for interviews. I don't think we had a single one over the course of season 1 and 2, and yet he's been here almost every week. He's now just disappeared. He's ran away back to the interview waiting room. So we'll bring him back in once more.
Again. Hello.
Is he back? There we go. Of course.
Get in there, Daniel. Go ahead, Zach.
Try to run away. I was like, no, not going anywhere. Who do you think you are? But no, of course, a great race and an even better start, it seemed.
Yeah, like I said to Shayla, it's like I wanted to be. I set like a jokey little target in my head for like being P4 at the end of lap 1. But I got to P5, I think, at the end of lap 2, so it wasn't. It was all right.
It's not good enough. It's not 4th.
All right.
No,
Are you
it's not.
kidding
It's
me?
not good enough. I let myself
1,
down.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or whatever like that. Bang, a little contact on the right, left rear. Did that cause any? And I didn't cause anything either.
I don't, right, because I turned. I was listening to the volume through my monitor, and the spotter is coming out through my headphones. And whenever the text came up for the spotter, it was right on the apex of the corner. So I turned text off, so I couldn't hear if I had any damage or not.
And yet he drove and finished 3rd anyway. Just riding on board with it is absolutely sensational. You took 5 cars going into turn number 1 alone, and 7, of course, by the time you exited turn 1 because of the 2 you got initially off the start. That's just crazy. Of course, you must have just. Did you even mean to, or was it just an accident? Did you just brake too late for turn 1, or did you think, yeah, I'm just going to do it?
No, I did brake too late. But I had intended on doing that. Like I put my overtake on straight away as soon as I could, and just wanted to go for it. I thought I've got nothing to lose. I want to, and I can't stand the Red Bull Ring either. There's no feeling in the road, and I hate that. It's too smooth for me. So I just wanted to get it over and done with as quickly as possible.
Fair enough. Well, in a week's time,
great racing with Robert though. I've got to that was the best race with anyone I've ever had in iRacing. It was absolutely brilliant. So shout out to him for keeping it clean as well, because I was 1 instant point away from a drive-through for 3/4 of the race. So just one bit of contact with Robert and it would have been over.
What a race it was as well between you two. Great respect, as you say. Takes 2 to tango, and in the end, you were the one that were able to get the move done around the outside of turn 4 after multiple attempts. It was a beautiful race. Hoping for more of the same in a week's time when we head to Interlagos.
Oh, definitely. I love Interlagos. I'm really excited for it. So no quali ban this time.
That is true. No excuses now. We're not going to expect to see you up 8 places in lap 1, because you shouldn't need to have to make up 8 places on lap 1. Is what we're going with. All in all, though, successful race, successful championship. I mean, you're in contention for 3rd place. You're obviously in contention with Christian Jasper. How are you feeling going into that final round?
Confident, I think. Semi-confident. I really want to get that first win. So I'm going to practice like hell this week. And because I really want that first win. It's the 3rd season. I need to get it.
I give you one thing, Daniel. Get your missus out there to paint your car again, because that's been the lucky charm of late.
Definitely. I've already said that livery is coming back for this season finale. It's coming back. The Pink Panther returns. Yeah, definitely.
Good. That's what we need. That is just our life would be complete when we head to Interlagos. Dan Whitfield, of course. Thank you for joining us. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, just as always, thank you so much to my family for always watching me, always supporting me driving a fake car around a fake track. I really appreciate the support.
Awesome stuff, Daniel. Thank you for joining us, and take care. We'll see you back in a week.
Cheers, guys, and thanks to you guys as well. And shout out to Brian as well, for putting this on. I've never had so much fun with iRacing, so thanks a lot.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, Daniel Whitfield, 3rd place at the end of today. We'll have one final interview. We'll have a quick word with Mr. Carson Keane, who, if math serves me correctly, which it doesn't often do, but because of your drop score, effectively the worst place you can finish next week is 3rd, because you've just had that good of a season. Even if you finish 4th, you finish 3rd, essentially, which means that the gap that you've got in the championship is unclosable, which means that thanks to 6 races of 7 rounds, you have mathematically won the championship as well as the race here today in Austria.
Hey, that's good news. I didn't. I thought it was
think.
going to be close.
Don't quote me on that.
Sure. I won't hold you to it. But no, that's good. It was a fun race. James definitely had the pace. Christian was killing it as well, and I kept hearing Daniel, or my crew chief on the radio, calling out Daniel with fast laps. So I don't know. I think the results maybe look a little bit skewed, but there was definitely some fast guys out there who kept me honest today.
Here they were, of course. Early on, it was James Cunningham who was keeping you honest with about 5/10 margin for the vast majority of sort of the first 10 minutes or so before he unfortunately span. Qualifying was very close, though. It seems that thankfully your race pace was had a lot more to behold than the competitiveness that we saw in qualifying.
Yeah, qualifying was fun. It was super tight. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, as far as race pace, obviously the off tracks at Red Bull Ring can be very, very tricky, and Brian likes to keep us honest. I think it's 9 for a drive through, so just keeping that in mind and trying to keep it clean. And we've got another kind of competition going on in the background for overall 1Xs, and Robert's absolutely killing it in that one, so I'm trying to catch him. So yeah, I enjoyed today. It was fun. Too bad about James. I was looking forward to battling with him a little bit, but these things happen. These cars are pretty tricky to drive, so totally understandable.
So if it is the case that you have won the championship, can we expect you to start from the back in Interlagos, have a bit of fun with it?
I'd do that for sure. I'd do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. I really look forward to Interlagos next weekend. So I definitely, if we want to do a last to first, I'm for sure down for that.
It's the only way we can even have someone else even think of winning. At this point, you've just have run away with it. It's great. Full respect to you. It's been a mega season. You've just bed so well with these Super Formulas, and hopefully people can catch up going into season 2 of the Super Formula stuff. But Carson, of course, what a mega season it's been so far. We've still got one round to go. Are there any thank yous and shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Oh, you know, the usual suspects, you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Always love watching those back, and then the whole community. I love just jumping into the waiting room after and chatting with the guys, how everybody's race went and stuff, and obviously Brian for organizing things. So and thanks for everyone for watching and supporting the community.
Awesome stuff, Carson. Thank you, of course, for jumping in with us, and we'll see you back in Interlagos.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Awesome stuff. Carson Keane, of course, the race winner here today and potential championship winner as well. Dean, before we wrap things up, any final thoughts from you? It's been a pretty decent race.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Of course, Daniel did a good job. Christian, of course, did. Unfortunate for James because he had the pace there for the pilot there of the US Air Force. He's got some pace of late, so it'll be interesting. Samuel Maher, as you mentioned there, is looking good for the intermediate championship. Remember, that battle is brewing tight, even though Carson Keane looks to be sealing the deal on the actual overall championship in that class. But then you're going back to Interlagos, my friend Carson Keane. Let's have him go the the clockwise version of the track rather than anti-clockwise, you know, as the track used to be in Interlagos. So let's have him go one direction, everybody else go the opposite direction, turn into Abu Dhabi. No, anyway, it's been fantastic. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. And Interlagos is not only my favorite track there, Zach, but also the man that puts this fantastic broadcast network on, James. So he's going to be excited to watch this one.
Even worse. You know what? I was about to say I'm not here in a week's time. There's a Christmas party at work.
Zach.
I've been dragged along, so I'm not even going to be here. But it's fine. I think you've got Ewan. I'm not entirely sure who's going to be stepping in. It might well just be Darren.
We're going to have a Simi Award winner at some point in the future, right? So we'll keep an eye on that.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it all depends on how many of you lovely people for Sim Racing for Simpletons voted for Zach Sweeney.
Yeah, by the way, if you're not, just look up Zach, give it a quick little, because you deserve it, my friend. You've been commentating so much. How can they vote for you?
They can't. They've been closed.
Oh, God, all right, fine. Anyway,
yeah,
keep
it was yesterday. So you better have already done it. If not, I'm going to find you, and I'll probably not say anything. I'll probably not say anything because I'm skinny and scrawny, and you'd probably absolutely pummel me into the ground. So it's fine. So if you haven't, no problem. If you have, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But me aside, because honestly, it's really not that deep. It's just a bit of banter. I won't be here next week, so of course. Very well done to all of these drivers all season long. It's been a mega privilege to commentate on this championship, and of course I'll be tuning in, hopefully if I can, over the course of round 8, and definitely will be watching it back, and hopefully we'll be back for season 2 of the Super Formula, season 4 of the overall championship of the Sim Racing for Simpletons. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had Dean Biggles alongside me, and you've been watching here on the James Parfitt Broadcast YouTube channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, and all of that jazz to not miss a single thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing. We'll be back in a week's time, the 9th of December, 8 p.m. UTC. Translate that to wherever you are around the world. It's going to be one you don't want to miss. It's goodbye for now.